I speak to senior leaders at these very large companies, and they say it. They are moving their investment in dollars over from direct to indirect.
Welcome, everyone, to the Channel 2.0 podcast. I am your host, Eric Brooker, and I'm joined by my co-host and good friend and the co-founder of the Channel Advisors, Cameron Olson. Here on the Channel 2.0 podcast, we dive into all things channel. Channel 2.0 has arrived. It is time to elevate this industry together. Today, our guest is none other than AireSpring CEO Avi Lonstein. In many ways, AireSpring has been in the channel since the early days. Avi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Really glad to be here and looking forward to chatting.
Avi, as we talk about building businesses, the statistics are great. Like your chances of failing are like 99%. You hear all that stuff, and it typically takes somebody who's a little crazy enough to start a business. Give us a background about where you come from. What were pillars in your life that made you want to start and build this organization?
Wow. Well, okay. Talk about a wide open question there. So I hope you got some time. But, the thing about AireSpring is I think one of the things that's different about AireSpring from the very beginning is we are truly a family-owned and operated business. And that's something that is a little unusual in the business or in the industry as a whole. Going back, if you really want to go back in time, the first company that we co-found or that I co-founded as a family was back in 1989, a company called AdTel Communications. It was an old school long distance reseller. I mean, those in the days when we would sell LD for 20 or 30 cents a minute, if you can think about that.
The good old days.
Good old days when we actually had a real margin in the business. And we built that company up. We sold that in 1997. And then I was retired at a pretty young age for a few years and decided that that's really not my lifestyle, is being retired. I also wasn't particularly happy with the way the new management who purchased that company were running the company, and it kind of made me feel that we can do a better job. So anyway, AireSpring starts up in 2001. An interesting tidbit is AireSpring. The reason it's called AireSpring is its actual full name was AireSpring Wireless, because we had made a decision to enter into the wireless side of the industry. And what we found out, I'm not going to take the time in it, but we were a little early to market with the wireless data product that we were offering. And so we pivoted into the traditional services, wireline services. And that was the beginning of how we got started. But again, I like to call we're a garage adjacent company. So the truth is we started not in my dad's garage. We weren't in the garage itself, but we were literally in the room next to the garage. So that's how we started. So we're a garage adjacent because we basically started in two rooms in his garage, and we started from there, building it up. And the family has been involved and directly connected with this business for 23 years now. And so that's a little history of AireSpring.
So I'm curious, for the entrepreneurs listening, for the channel managers that have thought about starting their own business, you're almost 25 years old as a company, which says quite a bit, back to Cameron's statistic from a few minutes ago. What's one piece of advice that you would offer Avi back in 2001 that you didn't know then, but you wish you did?
You probably don't realize how difficult it is at first, to get off the ground. I think underestimating the sort of the trajectory you have to move through to get up to critical mass is it's a bit overwhelming. But what I would say is that, one thing that's interesting, if you look at our company over 20, almost 25 years, everything's changed. Every piece of technology has changed. I mean, we were selling everything from, DS3s and ATM networks. I mean, there was still some ATM back then. These are terms you don't even hear of anymore, right? They're from the history books. But I will tell you that what has stayed the same throughout that entirety is commitment to the customer, commitment to the service experience, making sure that you go the extra mile to deliver the support, and just ensuring that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're doing, how you're doing it, but it's how you're supporting your customer. Are you really meeting their expectations and their needs? And that hasn't changed. There are some uh, directives I've written to the company that I wrote 22 years ago, and they are still as valuable as they were back then. And one of them is our customer comes first, always, right? We never put the customer into second place when anything we do, and we focus on what is the experience. So the one thing I would say is get past technology, get past the hot product of the moment. Those things will come and go. And obviously, catching a wave is always good. But at the end of the day, it comes down to really the basics. Are you treating your people well? Are you building a team that's going to support you? Do you have a loyal team? And actually, AireSpring has many of our senior executives have been with us 15, 20 years plus, right? Because we focus on those details. So that's a kind of a long answer, but hopefully that will give you. I think you got to get down to rock bottom basics here.
Yeah, you talked about your people,
Hmm.
and you mentioned this is a family-owned company. So somebody who is trying to figure out how to find a good working relationship with a spouse and having her part of the company. How many people are at your company that are family related, and what's the secret of being able to work together?
Well, actually, I wouldn't exactly call it a hugely nepotistic company. It's not like we're bringing in every family member we can. It's essentially, in terms of family, it's still my dad and my two brothers. The answer is, and I think it applies whether it's a family member, whether it's a business partner. You have to know what each person does well. You have to sort of make sure you separate out work from personal life. You don't want to do that where you're dragging the two together, because again, at the end of the day, it's a business, and we have to run the business. I think we've succeeded because we trust each other. We've got each other's back, but also we each know what it is we do, and we execute on that. Um, it doesn't always work, I can tell you. There've been, and we've had some early on. We had some interesting moments. I mean, I think we've now smoothed that all out. But I will tell you the commitment, and this is really the thing: the commitment that a family member has, um, or even what I call a highly committed owner operator. There's nothing like that. There's a big difference when you are fully committed to a business. You have all of your skin in the game. You have, you are, fully dedicated to success. That goes a long way. So I would think that whoever's doing this, you got to be business. Small business is not easy. You got to be fully committed and willing to put a lot of sweat and long nights. And I'll tell you, there's one little kind of tidbit here. Um, on our 20th anniversary, I circulated a photo from our first year, and because I just happened to be going through photos, and I found it, and it's literally me sitting on the floor in the hospital where my wife was delivering our first daughter, with a really big cell phone in my hand, and the really big ones, and a piece of paper, and I'm busy working while on the floor in the maternity ward. So uh,
You're busting out quotes while your wife is having a baby, huh?
uh, it all worked out okay, but you got to think about the reality of that. It's hard.
I love it. I feel like, Cameron, I feel like the first 10 minutes of this show have just been for you and me. Uh, I am curious. You entered the tech world as AireSpring in what has remained a channel only model, meaning you've not ever had direct sellers. That's always been the case. Why is
True.
that your model?
Well, we started even in our prior company focused primarily on the channel, but when we looked at the channel, we looked at um, we were a little early, I think, to seeing just how rapidly the channel was going to grow. The channel has sort of was kind of still nascent, I would say, in the first 10 years and 2000 through 2000 and 12, 14, and then it's like really just sort of zoomed from then in the last sort of rocket ride. But we realized immediately what the value of a partner is and what they do. And by the way, we have the highest respect for partners, and that's why our program is fully focused on them. It is hard work what a partner does. It is not easy. And quite frankly, it's a special sort of a person who can get that job done, right? You can bring in direct salespeople. It's not the same commitment that a partner has, right? A partner is fully invested, sort of like us, right? We feel like we're kindred spirit, as these are primarily owner operators, people who are in it to support their family, ensure success for their future. And so we thought it was a good match between our culture and the culture of our partners, and we've always put them first. So I would say that our expertise was on running a top-notch operation and ensuring that our customers or our mutual customers have success. But our partners are really the tip of the spear. They're out there, finding the correct opportunities, working things, and we want them to succeed because their success is our success.
So almost 25 years. And over that period, you've probably worked with hundreds or thousands, probably multiple thousands of partners who have come and gone in the channel. As you think over that 25 years, do you have any sort of fond memories of specific experiences of finding and helping partners find success in this community?
That's funny because most of the memories are not so fun. They're of partners screaming at me uh, and very upset with look, we do our best, but sometimes, as you know, in this industry, things go wrong. And so, um,
Telco's hard, man. You work with all those Lex and all those people, and you're the ones trying to fix the problems. I mean, the reason the channel exists is because that problem in itself. We're the problem solvers, right?
yeah, I mean, look, we've built and I've built relationships over the years. I've seen. I mean, over that period of time, you've seen people whose kids have grown up. We've been to weddings and different events along the time. Big deals have been closed. I mean, the thing that I love the best, and this is the thing that makes me the happiest, is I've seen many of our partners essentially start with very little, like they just scrabbled, getting off the ground, and they've built themselves businesses that have funded their significant lifestyle, changed everything in the way they operate. And I've had some of them come to me and say, Avi, thank you so much for helping me to change my life, right? And then that moves me because at the end of the day, when I see, at some point I've got people who have got now two or three of their kids in college, that they've funded, and additional properties, and some of them are reaching a point where they're exiting, right? And we know that that's a whole nother space, but that gives me a lot of warmth to know that I've been directly, or we've been directly responsible in the success of so many in changing their life.
Is there a common thread that you have found that separates the ones who make it? Because look, we know a lot of people come into this industry. It takes 2 years. I mean, most of the people we talk to, they say, yeah, I mean, I was eating ramen and mac and cheese for 2 years. I took out a second mortgage. I mean, I waited tables at night. All those stories, you hear all of them. Like, have you found a common thread on the ones that made it? Is there something that unites them that made them succeed versus some of the ones who struggled?
Well, I think it falls into two categories. One is you said it. It's a 2 year process minimum, right? I mean, it is a tough road, and I think someone has to be fully committed to go through the pain to get to the other side, right? It's a slow process. If you are very used to a guaranteed salary and having someone else work out the problems for you, the channel is probably not your ideal environment, because even with everything AireSpring does to support our partners, they're still at the front line and they got to work things out, and it's a process. I will tell you that pretty much everyone I've seen that has succeeded has had a couple of qualities. One is they are very good at opening doors, finding the right person and the right contact within a company. And I'm amazed how many of our partners, even though they've grown to run significant businesses, they are still out there every day knocking, whether it's knocking on doors, cold calling. If you're scared of cold calling, this is not the business for you. Okay. So, and I'm talking about people who earn, six, seven, even seven-figure incomes. And they're knocking doors, maybe not knocking doors in the traditional sense, going door to door, but they are working every opportunity, and getting it done. So you got to have that skill. I think that's key. You also, have to be able to think through a solution and work to, figure out what the right fit is, what the right opportunity is. So I would say, yeah, you got to be outgoing, and I haven't seen any accountant types who do well as channel partners.
Introverts, you can't be introverted.
I
I,
don't think so.
I I'm curious. I remember vividly one of my sales rep many years ago. I had just started at a tech firm. One of my sales reps walked in. We were going through his pipeline, and he was having a hard time signing what he called Teleris. And it was the first time I had heard of master agents or now TSDs. And I remember looking at him and I said, I don't know what this Teleris is, but let's get it over the finish line. And we had it over the finish line a few weeks later. And for the next 6 months, I was just a sponge. I didn't understand the industry. How did you hear, and maybe it was in your prior venture, but how did you hear about the channel? Because 22, 23 years ago it was in its infancy. Social media didn't exist like it does today. How did you hear this industry exists, and what got you to the point where you said, we're going to go all in?
Well, you talk about Teleris, and Teleris, the the co-founders of Teleris started with us literally in 2001 when we started the company. I don't know how we made contact with them, with Adam and Patrick, but they were, if you think about, humble beginnings, they were out there, basically marketing for residential LD, and we set up a program with Adam and Patrick to essentially bring in residential LD orders, and we created a whole kind of automated system to do it. And so I would give them credit to some degree for exposing us to just what could be done through the channel. It wasn't only them; there were other people we ran into, but we got a feeling very soon that this would be a different way of going to market. Remember, we were a startup company. We didn't really have a budget to hire 100 salespeople to put on the street. Um, but as we connected with Adam and Patrick, and we saw their energy and their, how smart they are and the way they were, thinking about growing this business, we realized that this would be a good place to be connected with. There were some others too, but that gives you a rough idea. And so again, we've actually been partnered with Teleris now for the entirety of the company, and they've done tremendously well, and very successful.
We talk a lot about what we call Channel 2.0. Avi, when the three of us started, and I'm aging all of us, there were, let's call it 50 suppliers at max. It was easy to get in front of the Ricks or the Patrick and Adams of the world because they were going to any event they were at. And we wanted to get to the event. I think it's where a lot of relationships, Cameron talks about 2 a.m. trust. Long after the event itself, we're building trust sitting at a bar or a restaurant. The channels evolved so much in 20 years. And I think we're going to see a lot of evolution over the next 2 to 3 years as private equity changes hands and businesses sell. What do you think some of the significant changes have been over the last 20 years?
Well, I think, you know, the biggest ones, number one is vendors, whether you want to call them, if it's carriers or security companies, whatever, have suddenly realized, or we realized over 20 years ago, right, which is that it's far more effective and efficient to go to market through the indirect channel than it is through a direct sales force. And you're seeing every company out there, where I mean, even the biggest companies around, are recognizing that the days of a primarily direct sales force are sort of dying. I mean, I think that trend has been happening for, 10, 15 years now, and I don't think it's going to stop. And I speak to senior leaders at these very large companies, and they say it. They are moving their investment and dollars over from direct to indirect. So that's a massive change. That's probably what the number one thing is, why you're seeing all of a sudden, a channel partners conference go from, a little, when we went to the first one, there was a few 10 by 10 booths all together, right? And today it's a massive show floor with thousands of attendees and, all of the major players out there in the market.
How do you think you differentiate yourself? I think the biggest, what I'm hearing
Mm.
is, and I'll just use some numbers, we've gone from 50 to roughly 500 suppliers. Some would say they've got 700 or 800 suppliers. AppDirect announced at their big event recently, they've got 800 suppliers. I think we're moving into the range of 12 to 1600 suppliers in the next couple of years for all the reasons that you just stated. My question is, how, as a supplier or a carrier, do you differentiate yourself in such a saturated market?
Well, listen, it's a challenge we've always had to work through, and it is much more saturated. I would say that a reminder at the end of it is what I said earlier. It comes back to basic principles, and if we can execute on those basic principles of building trust with the partner, building trust with the customer, what happens is that becomes a perpetuating cycle, and so it leads to more opportunities. There's always going to be competitors out there. We've always had that, and I understand that there's more. What we do is we figure out where we can add value, right? So the key is, what's the value that we can add for both the customer and the partner? Where do we differentiate that solution? I think that many of that 1600 or 800 are going to have a hard time unless they figure out their value proposition, and it's just going to be noise, because at the end of the day, partners have limited headspace, if that's the word, or
Yeah.
bandwidth, right?
Yeah.
They can't possibly market 1200 or 800 products, or even 600. So they're going to figure out where the best fits are. And just so you understand, for us, we understand that not every partner is going to be a perfect fit for AireSpring, and we're comfortable with that. And we also know not every customer is the perfect fit for AireSpring. As an example, a small single site, very low end, let's say connectivity, not really a great fit for AireSpring. Will we take it? We will, but we know where we add value is in a multi-location opportunity, where the customer really needs a higher level of service and support, where they're going to need additional services, including, let's say SASE or security or SD-WAN or complex networking across multiple network providers. That's where we add value. So I think that I would say that the way we differentiate is by being very clear about our value proposition, both for our partners and for our customers, and working with partners to identify where we are a good fit for that particular opportunity.
So if your value prop is, hey, we work better with these type of clients or end users, my guess is your goal as a supplier is to go out and find the partners or trusted advisors who kind of have those verticals or have those customers or kind of go up into those client bases. Besides that, what else do you look for in a partner that means they're a good partner fit for you?
Well, first of all, just backing up to the first part of what you said is we are finding that AireSpring is uh, a, a better and better fit for larger customers as we sort of move up the value stack. Because frankly, what's happening is if you look at the carriers out there, um, most of them are sort of exiting this managed services play. Um, there are a few that are sticking to it, but most of them are exiting it and not even willing to really service customers outside of their core, network, on net network. So there is a space for a company like AireSpring and others like AireSpring to bring those solutions to some pretty significant customers in terms of size. When we look at what we find is that partners either get what we're doing or they don't, right? And we try and educate. We do a lot of education. Mike Chase does these SD-WAN and security boot camps, which is a 4-hour deep dive into the technology. It is a complex business. I mean, delivering a complex multi-location solution is not for the faint of heart. So I would say that we find that those partners who are willing to understand and dig into the details and the complexities of this do far better than those who are interested in what I call just a sort of high level pitch and thinking that someone else will solve it for them. It doesn't always work that way. What I like to tell our team members is that if this business was easy and simple and could be automated, then Google would have already done that, and we would all not have a job, right? So it isn't easy. It's not. It's not a, a. It's not a business you can automate or a process you can automate. It takes people, resources, and skills and really experience. Lots and lots of experience. So um, that's what we bring.
What?
You
So
talk.
you gave yourself your 24 years ago recommendations on how to start. There's a lot of suppliers who are
Yes.
trying to get into the channel and trying to do it. What is your recommendations for them as they get ready to build out their channel programs?
Again, as I said, it's becoming a incredibly crowded space at the moment, right? And so um, I think for those who want to succeed in the channel, I think there's three pieces. Number one, you have to be committed to it. You can't be half in. We see, and I'm not going to mention the names of some carriers, we see them seem to get committed and uncommitted every 2 years, right? So for a year, you hear, yes, we're all channel. And then a couple of years later, they reverse out and
Wow.
cancel
Yeah.
cancel the commissions, stop renewals, all sorts of things that go on. I think that's lessening at this point because I think companies understand that this is the future, but you have to be committed, and that means committed across the board. How you service, support your financial program, evergreen contracts. You cannot screw over your partners. Rule number one in AireSpring is we do not ever screw over our partners in no way, shape, or form. We do whatever it takes to make sure that we protect our partners and we support our partners. So I would say that commitment has to be there 100%. Beyond that, in terms of getting attention from the partner community, you better clearly understand what your proposition is, your value prop, and how you're going to try and differentiate and get some, headspace is what I like to call it. Um, and then there's a lot of sweat done, which is our amazing channel managers, channel management team out there. They're every day visiting with partners, working through opportunities, sweating the details, making sure that we do stay relevant within that very crowded space. So I'd say those are three ideas that haven't changed in 20 years.
I'm curious. I've been an advocate that we have heard a lot in 2024 that things have slowed, particularly in the back half of the year. I will date stamp this with yesterday was the presidential election. Cameron and I have theorized this for a while. We've put it out to the world, and we seem to get good feedback. As long as we have a winner, which it appears that we do, the economy is going to open back up. The uncertainty of the presidential election, this is a cyclical thing. We've seen it before. I suspect you guys are making plans, big plans for 2025. I'm curious in terms of the obstacles that you anticipate with things opening back up, assuming they do. What obstacles do you see as a supplier in 2025? Headwinds, if you will.
Well, first of all, we haven't had a poor 2024 at all. We've had pretty significant growth. And so I think that's a testament to, a strong program, a strong team. And, so the headwinds that might exist for some have not been an issue for AireSpring in 24. With that said, I do believe that 25, based upon, recent events, is going to be a very strong year. And if that economy really can pick up more steam, it has slowed down a bit, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
If that economy picks up steam to what I call full speed, it's going to be a great 25 and hopefully, 26 and beyond. With that said, really what we're focusing on is scale, right? So we're growing rapidly, with the size of the operation. We need to make sure that we can still execute the way we did as a smaller company and provide that high quality of service. But we also have to do everything from automation. So we've really built out our ITSM platform. It's called Air Control, that is focused on the customer experience. It's really the 360-degree digital pane of glass that gives our customers a end-to-end view of everything going on with their services, ability to open support cases, really manage their entire network and downscale the number of resources that they have to utilize internally and hand those resources over to us. So we are seeing significant investments into software and automation. Our software development team has quadrupled in size. And we're not stopping. We're investing into sales and distribution, bringing on additional channel managers, support, operations. So the thing about it is we do a great job, I believe, for our customers and our partners. But I know that you're only as good as what you're able to do yesterday or today, right? And if we get sloppy, don't follow through, this is a business of details. I tell my team this all the time. Yes, there's always high level ideas, but the business we're in is details. Every detail you sweat and make go in the right direction is one thing that's not going to go in the wrong direction. So everything we do is about automation, system improvement, supporting the channel. And we are, as I said, we've added a lot of people, and we're going to continue to do that because the growth is there.
That's amazing. It's fun to see your guys' growth. And I know a lot of your channel managers, they all say extremely high stuff about working with you and your organization and what you guys have accomplished. And we've seen a lot of changes in this channel. I mean, some of the big headwinds we've seen or changes in general is private equities come into the space. There's a lot of roll-ups. There's an extreme growth in this industry. And anytime you see growth, there's supply and demand problems. Good channel managers and channel resources are at a premium. It's hard to find ones or bring new ones into the industry and teach them. What concerns do you have for the growth of the channel and any headwinds you see for the channel in general?
That's an interesting, because we obviously look at it closely, right? I will tell you, we are noting what I call a sort of a cycling out of one generation, as you know, not it's not completely unclear why. After some of these partners have been with us 20, 25 years, and they're ready to move on to the next phase of their life. So I do think that there is some cyclic nature there. The other thing that we are seeing is um, a change in the type of partner that needs to uh, and frankly, that's the same for our channel managers. This is no longer a transactional business where you can just quote a circuit and say, do you need a 10 meg, 100 meg, or whatever? It's far beyond that. So we find that, individuals who have more of a technology depth and can really understand the different pieces are going to do better. Um, I would say that yes, finding a great partner or a great channel manager is the same challenge. You have to, not everyone's going to make it and not everyone's good, right? So you have to work hard. What we look for is, individuals who have sort of that entrepreneurial spirit, right? Who are driven for success. And frankly, we've actually even had a few partners join us as channel and become channel managers and do very well. We've even had some channel managers become partners. That's also possible, right? So both of those are ways to go. So I'm not too worried about finding, we have a dynamic marketplace and economy. And I think what's happening is that we're seeing an influx of newer talent into the space as we see, the PEs take a deeper role in this, etc., which is good. We can't live off the same talent that we've had from, 25 years ago. We need an influx of, fresh, minds and new ideas. And so I think this is a fantastic time for the channel as a whole. I mean, I can't see anything but upside here.
I think as we start to wrap up the show a little bit, one of the things that intrigued me that Cameron and I see pretty regularly is suppliers are looking for talent. And I think it's an important distinction to know what type of talent you're looking for. I think there's a lot of people, and Avi AireSpring has done a phenomenal job of not only bringing in, but retaining some some leaders in the space, some channel managers that have been doing this a long time. I think one of the other challenges created though is because of the expansion of this industry, there are adjacent industries, there are direct sellers that want to get into the channel. So I just love the fact that you broached kind of what you're looking for in a channel manager, and the answer wasn't experience, because again we get a lot of folks on the direct side that are like, how do I get in the channel?
I mean, Eric, you're right on track. In fact, look, uh, experience is a two-way street, right? We do like to see experience because they know, people know the space, etc. But I can tell you, experience can also lead to what I call static thinking and being, not having what I call, we like to call it AireSpring, fresh eyes, right? Looking at things with a fresh view and going, okay, how do I bring my energy to it? And unfortunately, I see some individuals who have had, let's say, too much experience. They've lost that energy and that fresh look,
Yeah,
and they think that it's just and nothing stays the same. Nothing. It's changing all the time. So we are looking for individuals, and we're actually actively, recruiting at the moment, who um, bring that energy. Our top channel managers, the ones who are really the superstars, they have they are on their game, right? They are working it, and they're energized, and they can think things through. So I would say that I don't know that you know experience of having. I mean, obviously experience is helpful, but we're not necessarily needing someone with 20 years of experience. That's not necessarily what we're looking for. So anyway, maybe that's some comments on that.
that's great.
So Avi, I've heard your name for years. You are kind of a legend, one of maybe the founding fathers, have some major role in the growth of the channel. A lot of people know you. What is one thing that would surprise people in the channel that they don't know about you?
I that's an interesting question. I'm trying to think what would be a unknown. I'm a pretty open book. Um, I I don't know if anyone knows this, but I speak like 3, 4 languages, uh, and am very sort of been all over the world. So I lived in Japan for a while. Um, you know, uh, been in other areas. So, my name, Avi, is an Israeli name. So sometimes people expect when they meet me to hear someone with an Israeli or, accent, but what they find out is I got an accent from South Africa. Um, so if you're wondering about that part, that explains the name and the accent. I'm a very dedicated family man. I, and uh, you've heard about the family, right? So I'll leave you with this thought. But we have now between the 3 brothers, we have nine kids, cousins, right, who are all very close together. And Thanksgiving is coming up. We're all going to be together for Thanksgiving. It's going to be a joyous occasion with a lot of people there. And who knows, the next generation here might soon be creating their own generation in another 5 years or so. So I might be getting to grandkids soon. We'll see.
Maybe they'll take over the family business. Hey, Avi, you've done one thing incredibly well, and it's one of our biggest challenges in hosting this show is we don't want the conversation to be a commercial, but I think you've intrigued people throughout the course of the last 40 minutes or so. Give us that 30-second who AireSpring is, the products that you offer, and kind of who an ideal customer is.
Thank you. Well, AireSpring is a managed services provider and a managed network provider. What we do really well is bring together network services, whether it's starting with connectivity. We kind of call that the glue that holds everything together. And we're talking about everything from diverse connectivity. We've expanded over the years. We offer connectivity not only across the US, but internationally too. So we have a complete global department and organization that can source connectivity for you anywhere in the world. On top of that, we layer on. We have a core network here in the U.S. and across and with 13 POPs around the world that's designed to deliver SD-WAN. We have UCAS, and we are expanding rapidly into the security and the SASE space. Some of our key partners include Broadcom, which uses VeloCloud. Fortinet is a major partner. We're a Fortinet expert certified, one of the few expert certified partners out there. It takes a lot of work to get to that certification level, and we have probably over 100 certified engineers and other individuals in the company who are certified on Fortinet. We've recently struck up a deal with Cato Networks for SASE, and we continue to expand these relationships to support our customers. With that said, really the focus is multi-location opportunities with global as an added value, and we like to again focus on the key point is how can we deliver a higher quality solution. A lot of that happens with our Air Control ITSM platform that gives the customer so much control, and we utilize the same platform to manage our customers. So the end result is a better experience. I've said this for, probably 20, 25 years now, is what we like to do is help our customers achieve a higher level of service and support so they can feel like instead of a small fish in a big pond, a big fish or a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And that really is the differentiation that's worked all along. So I hope that gives you a quick overview of what AireSpring does.
Yeah, thank you. I'll tell you through this conversation, I am envious of one thing. I think through the history of mankind and in recent past, our civilization was built on the fact that our children worked for the dads through an apprentice approach, and you had family-based businesses. And it makes me sad that I don't get that chance to work along with my brothers or my father. I think I'd give anything to kind of have that as my experience these days. So a little bit of envious of you and your position in your company. It sounds like an amazing place. And thank you for coming on. Tell us where can people find you to get more information about AireSpring and about your services.
Well, obviously, always go to our website, airspring.com. We have, significant presence. You'll find us pretty much at every TSD trade show. We have a large number of channel managers out in the field. But if you don't have any of those, just feel free. There's a contact form on the website. And trust me, someone will be calling you very rapidly.
Well said. Well said. Avi, thank you very much for your time. On behalf of Eric and myself, thank you for joining us. And to everybody, have a great day and join us soon. I'm a